Well, hello everybody. There we are again.
Yes,
Finally, finally. It
on
was a long
a
week.
regular day.
Yep,
Yes,
it was a long
finally.
week.
Yeah, it was. We had to arrange a lot, but
Hmm.
we managed. We managed.
Yes, we did because we're here.
Yeah, yes. And some will say, crap, there they are again.
Well, I don't think it's that bad yet. We have
No.
Niels is on already,
Hi,
and
Niels. Hi,
we have
Lies.
Cindy on.
Hi, Cindy. Nice for you both to drop in.
Yes,
Um,
very nice.
yeah, we arranged a special guest, and
We sure did.
I had other obligations tonight, but I arranged this somewhere in October, November.
Yep,
So yeah, it's my
it's on.
priority. Yeah, I'm so happy he's in, and really look forward to it. And
Yes, we are.
are you gonna spoil it, or am I gonna spoil it?
It's
Who's
your
in?
guest this time.
Ah, we are going to talk about the David Oman House, and we have our special guest, David Owen himself.
Hello.
Hello. Happy New
Hi.
Year, by the way, since it's still only 2 weeks into the new year.
Yes, you too. Happy
Yes.
New Year.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, help us.
Yeah. It's always something to forget. I forget it all the time.
Yep.
Me. We have people in the chat saying hi, and hi back, everyone. And he's gone. And there he is
No,
again.
let's see comments. Oh, there we go. Hello,
Yes.
Cindy. Hello, Niels. Let's see. It's over my right shoulder, so I have to turn this way to see what's on the screen. But
I'll
Ah.
be fine. I can do this.
Yeah, so you can see it in the screen.
yeah, of course, my screen's to my. I rearranged my setting because the lighting was so poor. I didn't want to
Oh
make it.
God,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's
Yes,
why
it
I should be
was.
facing. I should be having
Yeah.
this to my back, and you can see the screen over my shoulder instead. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. If anybody has any questions, you'll relay them to me, and I'll be happy to answer them.
We will
Of
definitely do
course.
that.
We have
Yes.
all the time for the questions, but let's start to say thank you for coming on our podcast and live Talk. And everyone here wants to know um, what's the update on the wildfire in LA?
Update is they pretty much have put out the 6 fires that were going on a week ago, and luckily we were about 3 miles east of the Palisades fire when it got to the closest, which was near the 405 freeway. And my personal belief is that the fires were started by human beings, not by an act of God, and not by a transformer blowing up as they're trying to lay blame on. I think that the public, the broadcast of all these high intensity winds got into some people's minds and they wanted to see things burn. I think they
Yeah.
call it pyromaniacs.
Yeah.
And that's what caused it. And it was a conflagration. I mean, you had 6 fires at the same time all across the county. And it's kind of hard to use all those resources and divide them up, in an
Yeah,
effective manner, on top of the fact that we had historically high velocity winds blowing through. And
Yeah.
that, you couldn't battle the fires with that kind of heat and with that much wind velocity pushing the winds, pushing the flames to incredible heights. And it was just the convergence of a terrible bunch of realities that fell into alignment that created this apocalyptic, nightmare. I mean, 25 miles of Pacific Palisades from the 405 all the way to the ocean, that's unheard of. It's never been
Yeah.
seen before. And I mean, I've seen pictures of the devastation and my jaw drops because it's unfathomable. It's just flat, all gone.
Yeah. A lot is burned.
Yeah.
It's sad. I mean, Will Rogers' home was there in 1929, 1930. It's gone. It survived everything else until this year, and it's completely eradicated.
Yeah, it is.
Aw- Awful. Yeah. All the wildlife and
And the
the whole.
wildlife, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
just terrible. And they let a lot of that overgrowth burn. And in so doing, as you said, the wildlife was just eviscerated, just
Yeah, it is.
taken out.
Yeah.
And it's terrible because, I mean, where I live, I was thinking maybe the wildlife would have made it across. I said, how could they? There's 12 lanes of freeway from one side of one edge of the fire to the other, to where it wasn't burning. There was that whole highway, and it's like there's no way by which they could actually escape and go across the freeway. So
No.
they
No.
basically ran to the fences and hopefully found a way out. I'm sure a large percentage of them didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
I feel very sad. I'm still speechless about it. And for what I've heard, there were a couple of people arrested because of the wildfires, but I don't know if they got all of them.
I'm sure they have. I know that they got the guy that was responsible for the Runyon Canyon fire, which was due east of here by a few miles. And that was obvious. There was no power lines in the area. There were no fires going on there that the embers could have floated to drop into that vicinity in that canyon. So I think the West Lake, I forgot the name of it, the fire over in West Hills, they found the person that was responsible for that. They're working on the Palisades fire to find out who was responsible or what caused the initial fire.
Yeah,
But still, I mean, I think that it's just, I don't know who in the world could come up with that kind of a vitriol and animosity to want to start a fire on that day on purpose. I
yeah.
mean,
It's
it
sick.
it's completely deranged and sick. It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. And it's no use. So
Yeah, just
yeah,
terrible.
well, some people are very sick in that regard.
And the
yeah.
same with the Altadena fire. I mean, the whole community, they said 90% of the community, the residents and the businesses were demolished. And that's just
Yeah,
like, just terrible, horrible,
yeah,
horrible, horrible, horrible.
Yeah.
it
It is.
definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we said, we're speechless about it still. I mean, we
Yeah.
follow it daily almost, so to see what was going on. So yeah, let's hope we can. You guys can rebuild some of the land and
Yeah,
make it grow again.
yeah. And this
'Cause-
time they'll hopefully use materials that are impervious to fire. I mean, I saw a few structures where homes were burnt on both sides, and the one house in the middle that was new was completely fine from the fire. So it shows you that there is materials that they can build with that are impervious to flames and fire
Yeah,
retardant in their construction. And I mean, I don't see it as a bright spot, but hopefully it will never happen again in my lifetime or in 10 lifetimes if they rebuild, properly and in a way that protects against future, fires, which should
yeah,
of course affect the insurance rates as well. They should be compensatory. So if you build your house in material that's fire resistant or fireproof, you should have a discounted rate because it's not going to ever happen on your property in the future.
exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, let's jump into the hauntings.
Yeah.
Um, if I'm correct, The property was bought in 1889 and finished in 2002. Did the haunting start right away, or did I get my numbers wrong?
As far you're talking about the original residence where the Tate home resided. As far as I know, the story goes that the house was owned by Rudy Altobelli, who was renting that for many, many, many years, from the time of the murders all the way up until 1993, when was renting. The last resident there was Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails. He had rented it out, and I know that he was the last person to live there before the property was sold and then demolished. And that house was demolished in 1993-94. I think the man's name was Weintraub, was the owner of the property. And my father and I bought this lot in 1999. So several years after that house was demolished in 1993, 6 years later, we bought the lot and started building. The house at the end of the street was being rebuilt. Even then, in 1999, the house was not finished. And he tried to, entice my father into buying the property. And he invited us in to walk on the property to take a look, because my father was a builder, designer, and architect. And we went through, and I was like aghast, because I said, Dad, this house has got ceilings that are some 20 feet tall. And I said, that's a waste of space. And I'm thinking from a perspective of a contractor, of a builder, and a designer. I don't want any room that's going to be taller than 12 feet for one simple reason. It's overkill. And when you talk about heating and air conditioning wise, it's quite expensive to heat that room because heat rises.
Yeah.
So by the time the temperature at about 6 to 8 feet, maybe 6 feet level, is to the temperature I'm requiring it to be, I'm having to fill up the whole volume of that empty space that there is no one standing in, that no one is occupying. And to me, it's like, I don't need I'm not building a theater. I'm not building an amphitheater. I don't need higher than 12 feet is sufficient, but 12 feet I'm going. And it was, you're talking about 20 feet. And I'm like, well, Jesus. And I said to my father, the height of the rooms, the regular rooms, the bedrooms, is at about 12 feet plus. And I said, Dad, he goes, shut up. He goes, don't say anything. Let's just hear him out. He goes, learn from this. Don't criticize anybody when they're showing you a house that they're trying to sell you. Just listen. You never know what the end result's going to be. But if you nip it, if you insult them with that, you're going to go nowhere fast. So I was looking around. I said, this is just a pink elephant, meaning it's grotesquely enormous. And I don't see a point in it being this way. And I'm like, just dissatisfied. When we were going through the back area, which was the original back, where the original home that was there, the back entrance, I noticed a 3 foot by 3 foot section on the floor that was like a trap door. And I said to him, I said, what's that? He goes, oh, that's the trap door to the original floor of the kitchen. I said, what? He goes, well, we got a remodel on permit for the house. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, there are 2 original walls from the original house, the Tate house, Rudy Altobelli's original house, and we kept the floor, a 20 foot by 20 foot section of the original linoleum covered floor in the kitchen to get away with a remodel permit. And I'm like, and my dad says, yeah, he explained to me, he goes, when you have one bearing wall on the original structure left, you can get away with calling it a remodel and get your permits at a lesser expense because you're not applying for a brand new construction permit. And I was like, you're kidding. He goes, no, that's the law. I said, one wall. He goes, yeah, one wall of an original house that was 2,800 square feet. You can get away with having that remain and destroying everything else and building the house and getting a remodel permit. I'm like, I said, can I see that? And so he lifts up the trap door, and I look down, and 3 feet down is, as I'm looking at it, there's a light switch. He flips it on. It's a yellow linoleum floor. And I'm like, oh my God. And he goes, do you want to, you're more than welcome to go down there. So I went, lowered myself down, and I was sitting there on the linoleum floor, and I'm looking in all directions. And all I see is like the linoleum floor, and then it stops and drops like off. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I've got myself sitting on the original floor from the kitchen from that house. And I was like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So he ended up selling the house. I think it was in around 2003 or four. And I'm hearing music. Do you hear music?
Yeah, I put that on.
All right, fine. I was getting
No, it's not ghosts.
yeah,
It's not that
thank
bad
you.
yet.
You guys are playing new music. What's with you? All right,
No, it's a little
so
jingle.
so we built. So my father said, "How?" He goes, "I'll offer you for $20 million." My father said, because this house that he had built had already been found, built, and it was enormously almost finished, but it was like no chance. So we said no, thank you. Ended up finishing my house in 2002, and in August of 2002, I moved in. That house was sold to Jeff Franklin, and he spent the next several years working on it to finally finish it to completion. And during that time, I was having stuff happen here during construction, long after the house was torn down in 1993. So, like I said, we were having strange things happen, and I didn't know. I kept on thinking, wow, could it possibly be that those spirits down there are visiting here? And I just assumed maybe it is, because there's stuff that's happening here, and I'm thinking it's got to be connected to the house at the end of the drive. Later on, after being here, I consulted some psychics, and they said they feel Native American energies here, and I'm like, sure. In the heart of Beverly Hills, I mean, in the outskirts of Beverly Hills, in the hills, there's Native. I said, a few years later, I think it was in 2006 or 7, I got the Benedict Canyon Association mailer. It's a little magazine that comes out twice a year. And I'm looking through it, and I see it says Native Americans in burial site grave site in Beverly Hills, in Benedict Canyon. So I read the article, and the article states that in 1929, when the ground was first broken to build the Beverly Hills First Women's Club, which is down about a mile away from here on Benedict Canyon and Chevy Chase Drive, they say they found the remains of 3 Native Americans that were apparently killed in a battle between the early Californians and the Native Americans some years earlier. And I'm like, oh my goodness gracious me. These people that the psychics, different psychics that had been here earlier, a few years earlier, had said that exact bit of information, and I dismissed it. So I went down to the Beverly Hills First Women's Club, and on the corner of Chevy Chase Drive and Benedict Canyon is the little garden outside the building, and there's a boulder. And on this granite boulder, there's a brass plaque, and it says exactly what I just said to you. So I did some research and found out that in I think it was 18, God, I don't want to get the year wrong. Let me just get one thing I'll give right back to in details. Here it is. Here we go. I apologize, but it's been some time since I've had to relate this story, but I'm going to reference my book, Ghosts of Cielo Drive, to look up exactly where the history and the exact date. I don't want to be misquoted. Here we go. Here we go. Let me see. Beverly Hills and Benedict Canyon. Here it is. 1828. All right, let me just read this. I can do this from the book. I can actually read this. The remaining time of Here it is. In 1852, the Tongva, which was the Native American tribe that was here, also known as the Gabrielinos by the Spaniards and the Mexicans, attacked. In 1852, the Tongva launched an attack on Maria's home where they attempted to steal some cattle. And a gun battle ensued with Maria caught in the middle, barely escaping with her life. The tribesmen, now seen as early enemies, were driven back a half mile to the Walnut Grove in Benedict Canyon, now Chevy Chase Drive and Benedict Canyon Drive. The 3 tribesmen were killed in the battle, and the remains were left and buried there on the spot. Maria was the widow of the Spanish general whose basically the Mexican government gave and deeded his wife a tract of land of 3,600 acres, including all of Beverly Hills and most of West Los Angeles down to La Cienega Avenue and present-day Olympic Boulevard. So she had her ranchero literally about 2 miles from where we are right now, it was on Alpine Drive and Sunset Boulevard was where her ranchero was. The Native Americans were now basically by the Spaniards and the Mexicans forced into the canyons. And they used to have raiding parties upon her, for lack of better words, her ranchero. So they would come in and steal livestock and then bring them back and kill them and eat them. So what happened in 1852 is they made this raid. They went down there. Her ranchero hands were basically ready. The ranch hands were there, ready, and they had a battle between the Native Americans and the Mexicans, and they drove them up into the hills and killed them a mile away from here. And that was the 3 Native Americans who were uncovered as being buried there on the spot and uncovered in 1929. So the idea is that it then became apparent to me, it's like, for whatever limited perspective I'm utilizing at the present moment, thinking back, it has to do with something that happened then 35 years ago down the street from me. There's history that is in this area that long surpasses the limits of 35 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago, which is, of course, when the Caucasian man moved in.
Yep.
And I didn't realize that when I started to delve into the history, and I found out that this whole area was inundated with Native Americans, the Tongva tribesmen. That became like, how should we say, a revelation unto itself, meaning that there are other people besides what I believe were here, and history goes back a lot farther than just 150 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does. Definitely
absolutely.
does.
And as we're talking, I'm literally being swarmed by a large group of, ravens. As I'm looking at, if they come by, I'm going to turn the camera so you can see the ravens. Wait. It is the view of the canyon, as you can see.
Yeah,
And hopefully the little bastards will fly by. Because, I'm looking out there and I'm seeing them like fly by. And back here, let me open up the blind so you can actually see out there.
great.
Yeah, there it goes. You saw that, right?
Yeah,
I saw something fly by, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one of the ravens. Let me see.
no.
Come pay visit. Come on, guys. I'm on camera. Get some respect. They're with us in spirit, let us say. It's always nice. I haven't seen them in days. That's why I was so impressed, because usually they'll be on my balcony hanging out. I was thinking,
Yeah.
put some food out there, and the food's still sitting out there waiting for them to arrive. And I'm going, where are you guys?
Yeah.
I get a little bit, put off by the fact that my friendly neighborhood ravens haven't paid their visit. The same with the spirits. I'm expecting you guys to knock one of the figurines over behind the camera, you know. It would be appreciated while we're on live. Not your live, my live stream. You know,
That would be something.
it would be.
Uh,
Come on, act up, do something, please. You didn't all night. They were quiet in the evening.
oh my God. Um, the other part of the haunting. We are here in Europe a bit familiar with Sharon Tate, and I just call him by his back name because we don't give him a status. But Mr. Manson and his gang, um, do they reside on your property as well?
No,
No.
people have asked me that since the day that Susan Atkins passed. And then again with Charles Manson. And my statement has said pretty clearly that no, I think he's got a standing reservation in a place down south under about a couple of million miles deep in the earth. And unfortunately, he's got a fireside seat to his eternal enjoyment. So no, I don't think, I've never seen any hide nor hair of his spirit or Susan Atkins' spirit here at the house at all. And I have had the privilege of having one of the members of the family, of the Manson family, visit here a few years ago, Diane Lake, who wrote the book Member of the Family. And she was with my publisher at the time, had brought her here because she had worked on her book. And she says, oh, I want Diane to meet you and come to the house. And it's like, great. And then I was all afraid thinking, oh boy, isn't that going to be an insult to the memory of Sharon Tate? And as it turns out, nothing could be further from the truth. The house was quite amenable. And I kept hearing the spirits say, no, if it wasn't for her and the others who basically turned against Manson to turn state's evidence, the case would never have been completely solved or won in the courts. So I was like, oh, I never thought of it like that. So that's how I feel the spirits respectfully appreciated her presence here at the house.
Yeah.
I'm
Cool.
telling the complete story.
Oh, pardon?
Telling the complete story
Yeah,
from her point of view.
from inside. I mean, she literally was there, a witness to the before, the during, and after the murders, because she was not there present at the crime scene. She was, however, told what and heard everything that was said before the murders, after the murders, and she knew the real story.
Yeah. Well, something
I
moved.
heard that. Yes, I heard it.
Must be the construction guys outside doing some work on the
Could be.
property.
Yeah.
Otherwise, those are some very loud spirits.
Don't disturb my show.
Yeah, really. Do you mind? I'm on live. Shut up. Keep it down. Not now. When I'm off camera and off live, you can do whatever you want.
Just the figurines. Just the figurines.
Yeah, just
Exactly.
a knock
Yeah.
would be appreciated, but nothing more than that. Not lumber being dropped.
Absolutely. That would be marvelous. What kind of haunting do you have on your property?
Huh. Well, I've been told that the house has got a revolving door at the front door, so that spirits are coming in and then spirits are coming out. And I've talked to Lisa Williams, the famous English psychic. I've had Marian Winkowski, the real-life ghost whisperer, communicate with me about the house, and they've all said that the house is like a giant portal. And I said to Marianne Winkowski, I said, can you clear the house? And she said, yeah, I can clear it like this, but 5 minutes later, you'll have a whole new set of spirits visiting. And I'm like, wow. She goes, yeah, your house is like a hotel for the dead. I said, oh, interesting. And I'm like the innkeeper. And she goes, kind of, sort of.
You have to feed them.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Toasted Ghostios? No, I don't feed them. Last I heard, spirits don't eat. They don't
They're not-
consume things. Neither souls nor food. No, they do not.
Okay.
very cheap.
Okay.
Very cheap.
They're cheap. Yes, they're the cheapest date I've ever known.
Wow.
Yes, they're a cheap date. I'm sure they don't appreciate that. I'm just kidding, spirits. Don't get on me because I made a joke. It wasn't serious. God knows. You never know what it is. You don't know what's
You
going to
never know.
It's like, did I upset you? I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm kidding. It's a show. You'll know when I'm serious. I won't be smiling. God help me. Oops. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. Sorry. Piss off the big man. You don't want to do that till you're there.
Oh, don't.
Oh my God.
I hear these like crashing and bang. I'm like, God, you're starting your work day at 12 at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. How lucky for them. Most people start work about 4 hours ago at 9 a.m., not at 1 a.m., 1 p.m.
Exactly.
I don't know. Maybe it is the ghosts.
It could be. It could be.
You never
But
know.
yeah, let's wait out.
I don't hear it anymore. It's like quiet now. It stopped being so. Who the hell knows? God help us, please. Oh, sorry. No, that's okay. We don't need your help. I'm sorry. The other people in fire zones need your help. Ricky
We'll
Gervais.
be fine. We'll be fine.
Yes, we're fine. We're good. We're all very good here. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. So we were saying about the ghosts. So like I said, and as far as I've personally experienced, I've gone from a place of believing that initially that I thought everything was connected to the house at the end of the street and the victims of the crime and the murders were basically visiting the house and doing stuff. And I mean, on the early TV shows that we had done about the house, I said that. Later, a few years into living here, I started to find out that it didn't make sense that somebody that had died some 45 years ago or 50, now 55 years ago would be impacting individuals that have no connection whatsoever to them when they were alive. And then during one of the seances here, we actually captured a voice of a man speaking in Spanish on 3 digital recorders on the seance table, and one video cameraman who was videotaping the seance for review. And I said, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. And then this girl at the table said, that's my father. After we were done with the seance, she goes, that's my father. He died 4 years ago of cancer.
Wow.
And the voice said on all 3 recorders, and it said in a very whispery voice, let it go, mija. And I was like, well, that can't be connected to them. So when we found out that this girl said, that's my dad, he died, I haven't been able to go on with my life since he passed away. Now I have closure. I was like, holy crap. That's totally distinctly devoid of any connection to the Tate murders. And this girl is connecting, telling me that's the voice of her father who died. And it's like the pieces of the puzzle fit so perfectly. I just said, oh my God, he's here to let you know that you can go on with your life, she said. And I was like, everything that some of the other psychics had said, that this house was basically a hotel for the spirits, and the revolving front door idea started to make sense.
Yeah.
So I've kind of, grown in my thoughts and realized that if what they said is true, which seems to be true and borne out by the facts, that when somebody has an incident or an experience here at the house, I say to them, who's the first person that pops into your mind that's not alive anymore, right after the incident took place? And they go, X, or they say this person or this person or this person. I said, that's who it is that you've had an interaction with. Because I go back to, what reason does Sharon Tate, Abigail Folger, Wojtek Frykowski, Stephen Parent, or Jay Sebring have in reaching out to somebody that has no historical connection or to them personally? It doesn't make sense. And people go, what do you say that? I say, because everybody is speaking from the I, from the ego, from my person, me. And it's like, wait a second. There's two individuals in concert here. There's you, and then there's this mystery unknown spirit. Yeah. Now, considering, I believe, and this isn't based on theories of any prior personality from TV or from books or from literature or parapsychology, I've kind of gained this through experience, because I've always listened to a lot of those theories that have been proposed about the paranormal. And after living here 22 plus years, going on 23 years, I've kind of come to my own conclusion on the fact that a lot of these theories are hogwash, are based on egocentric beliefs, on sometimes religiosity perspectives. And I start to say, it don't hold water when it comes to practical application in this environment. And then I say, well, if that's the case, what can I discern from my experiences and come to a conclusion that makes sense, that fits in all applications, not the limited one application where it's a historical, grave site, and this is where a terrible battle happened, and they're like a broken record. The spirits are just going through the same movements over and over again. And I said, I for some reason don't buy into that either. I mean, I take umbrage with a lot of them because they're all about the human perspective. Never, ever, ever taking upon the thought of, what if I was in their shoes? What about what they would feel? What about their perception? What about them being the spirit's point of reference? And what motivation would they and do they have to interact with certain people? And what I said is the shortest distance between a human being and a spirit is the connection when both parties were alive. And it's not like, well, I'm Sharon Tate's biggest, fan. I'm the president of her fan club and this and that, and that's why she's going to come to me. Yeah, that's great for the human perspective and the centrist or egocentric perspective, saying, yeah, this is all about me. And it's like, but to the spirit, it's like,
who the hell are you?
You? Who the hell are you? A fan that
Exactly.
was born 25, 30 years after I passed away? I'm sorry, I have no issue with you, but I have no interest in trying to reach across the time-space continuum to reach out to you to value you up and make you feel like you're important. It just doesn't work like that. There has to be a sincere connection and a reason why this spirit is reaching out to you. And if it's not your grandmother, your grandfather, a dead best friend or a dead friend or another dead relative that you had a connection with, I don't see why Sharon Tate is going to want to do that. And people get a little miffed. And I say, put yourself in the spirit's shoes. Think about it. What's motivating you to do that which you are wishing for? And what that's motivating them to come across to see you.
Yep.
And that's what I've learned here, is that it's not like a carnival and a circus sideshow where it's a stage seance. That doesn't happen. When stuff happens, it happens inexplicably and uniquely to that individual. And connection is connected through their personal connection to that person when they were alive.
Yeah.
And in some rare cases like myself, you know, I don't know why I saw Jay Sebring's apparition 21 years ago in summer. I have no idea to this day. It's the only time I've actually seen a full body apparition, but to me it was like, I didn't recognize him as who it turned out it was. And I thought he was here to notify me that my mother had passed away in the night from cancer. But it didn't turn out to be the case. And what has later turned out to be several years, about 8 years later, even 9 years later, the house next door was under construction and development. And that's in fact what it was that he was pointing to when he appeared in front of in my bedroom at the foot of my bed, pointing towards the property next door, which they literally took the hillside, which was like this, and cut down and took out this whole mound of earth to build the structure that is now there.
Hmm.
Okay.
Did you have a problem with it or something then?
No, the
You
thought
think?
was during construction, there was a lot of earth moving equipment, and literally my house shook violently, like there was an earthquake going on.
Trying
So
to warn you maybe for
trying to
could be
warn me
JC.
of the upcoming, activity that was going to take place on this vacant lot next to my home. So it was very, 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 very strange to say the least. When everything I believed up until that point was he's pointing towards the driveway, away from the house, like he's trying to get away from the house. And it was like turns out he wasn't pointing towards the driveway, but literally pointing specifically towards this piece of real estate right next to my home that was going to be eviscerated and cause, I wouldn't say structural problems, but cause some issues with my home settling and the earth shaking violently, to say the least.
Yeah.
So again, it's interesting. It's very interesting how things turn out, but it wasn't like I want to see Jay Sebring and show up. Jay, he manifested on his own in the middle of the night, unbeknownst to me, and I certainly at the time, I'll be honest. If anything, I would have said at the time was like I'd love to see Sharon Tate. So it wasn't like I was dying to see Jay Sebring's apparition. If anything, I was curious to see Sharon Tate's apparition and to see how it manifested, if anything. But it wasn't like I'm conjuring Sharon Tate, manifesting, not a chance. I didn't do
No.
anything like that. Like, I want to see Sharon, please manifest. No, I mean, I just, out of honesty, with honesty and with all due respect, I'm not that egregious of a son of a bitch to sit there and try to say, well, you died. I said, you're around, please manifest her. No, that's just, to me, that's the ultimate disrespect.
It is.
Doing something like that. So when it happened, I was like, and this is in 2004, I was kind of like, who are you? What are you here to tell me that my mom died? But what's going on? And then three times he pointed towards the property, the land next door, and then disappeared.
Okay.
Yeah, it is weird.
And that's
They move in weird ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
you did talk about Stephen Perrin not being there, but there are claims of people seeing him. Is that anything anywhere correct or
in this house, no one's ever
no
seen.
no outside on the property?
I don't know. I mean, let's be honest. There was a woman that came up here. Let's see, about 12 years ago. She said she reached out to me. And she says, I was with some people there a year ago, and I want to come up and bring my mom to see the house. Her name was God, I forgot her name. As a matter of fact, it's if you watch the Ghost Adventures episode, Dre Fordham. Thank you. She reached out to me and she said, I want to come up and show my mom the house. I said, fine. She basically disappeared. I never heard another word from her. About 6 months or 7 months later, I'm shooting the Ghost Adventures show, and one of the producers tells me they're doing a reenactment. And I said, oh, yeah, from what? He goes, from this girl, Dre Fordham. And it's like, Dre Fordham. It's like, oh, God. I said, she called me like almost a year ago, and she was going to come over and see the house and was going to wanted to bring her mom up. And she goes, but I never heard from her again. What's the story you're talking about? And they said, well, her story is this. She and her mom started to drive up the driveway. At the bottom of the driveway, as they came up the turn, up the driveway, she says she saw Sharon Tate's apparition. I said, what? Yeah, she was wearing a white nightgown and she was pregnant and she was covered with blood and she was clutching her pregnancy as she's walking down the driveway towards them. And I said, really? Is that so? And they go, oh, yeah, that happened. I said, we're going to do a reenactment of it. And what do you think? And I thought about it for a quick second and I said, not on your life. He goes, what do you mean? I said, first of all, you're asking me what my opinion is. I assume you're asking me if this is a good story. And I said, I don't buy it for a second. I said, why would Sharon Tate's apparition appear in front of this woman's car in the same disposition as she left the earth? I said, when I saw Jay Sebring's apparition some 8 years earlier, he looked perfectly fine. He was in a suit, narrow lapelled suit. He was not cut up. He was not shot up. He was not beaten up. He had no scars. He had looked perfect as he did when he was alive. So you're meaning to tell me that this stranger sees this apparition of Sharon Tate covered in blood, clutching her pregnancy, walking down the driveway. I said, why would she appear as the way she left? I said, that's myth. I said, and I don't believe that the universe condemns those who die to return in the same disposition that you left the earth. Meaning like Anne Boleyn, supposedly Anne Boleyn walks around the, whatchamacallit hill in Buckingham, in the area where, I forgot the name of it, at the, where she was beheaded and has her head tucked under her arm. I said, I don't believe that story. I don't believe it at all. I said, it's disrespectful to the spirits. And I don't think the universe has got a cruel, sick, sinister bone in it that would basically forestall that anyone who comes back, will return the way they died. I said, it's just despicable. I said, it's horrendous. I said, I don't buy that. So, well, we're going to do this reenactment anyways. And I said, go ahead, but I don't buy any fact. I don't find it at all plausible, but it's great visually. I said, yeah, it's great and it's titillating and it's sensationalistic, but it's not accurate. I said, no. I don't buy it. So my point is that a lot of things that people believe they concoct in their head and envision in their mind because that's what they've been told over and over again. Be careful what you wear when you leave the house today, because if you die, you're going to be wearing that for the rest of eternity. And I'm like, you forget it's mythology and it's pathetic. But some people let that fester in their mind.
Yeah.
And the mind and the imagination is a crazy thing that sometimes it can manifest something visually in its visual cortex that is not actually there. Because exactly. They're so over obsessed with something that they manifest this image of what they believe it's supposed to be because they've seen the pictures on the internet of how the murder victims looked and what they were wearing. So in that moment, they have this vision of what they've seen in the crime scene photos and project that onto the reality of their moment.
Definitely.
And to me, that's kind of the idea. Is like Stephen Press, like who? I'd like to know who and where and under. I'd love, again, the depth of the detail is what counts. The depths of which they are either saying it's this way or this way immediately sets me into either a yes, possibly this could have taken place, or no, empirically not possibly could this have taken place. Just by the details, because I need to hear more who the person was, where it was, and again, put myself in the spirit shoes and saying, why would I be showing myself at this location, period? What's the connection to me when I was alive? What am I trying to, communicate to the other people? Because it's not just, hi, I'm here. You can see me now. I just made your day. Because that comes from the egocentric human perspective. But from the spirit's perspective, I'm coming here to give you some information. I hope you can understand this.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's why I say I always like to hear the story and get a better perspective and understanding of what it is the circumstances, the location, not even the time. Time doesn't matter because time doesn't mean anything to a spirit. They don't wear watches, so they're not concerned with time. It's a matter of what was the essence of the movement, or what did that person who saw it feel or hear at that moment. That's what counts.
Yeah, it does. I have a quick question because my your image is stuck, so it
I
seems in
know.
my
Oh,
frame. I
son
don't
of
know,
a bitch.
Mary, is it with you as well?
Yeah, I'm stuck.
Yeah,
What
he's
the
he's
is going on
he's
here?
completely frozen.
I thought my Wi-Fi was bugging me again, but it's not that this time.
No, I'm
No,
frozen. That's me. I'm in the show. You want me to come back in and out?
I can remove you. See what happens.
You can remove me.
I'm gonna remove you. Come
no,
back.
You come back. Do you want me to log back in? Do you think?
Yeah, yeah. Try that. Maybe it
All right,
works.
let's do that. Remove me and I'll log back in a second.
Yes.
All right.
There we go. Goodbye. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was my Wi-Fi again because that thing
no,
bugs
no.
me
I
a
was
lot.
watching you, and because you were moving, it wasn't my connection. So the problem is LA.
Let's see. Ah, there we are again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
he's moving.
he's moving again. Well, at least we didn't lose the audio, which is important. So the audio is more
Yep.
important than just the video, obviously, because it's not like
The
a
audio
true.
was perfect. The audio
Good.
was
Well,
perfect.
now you got the audio and the video, and your audience isn't. Is he stuck? He's not moving anymore. He's frozen in time, but he's still talking. That's good.
Well, I
Yeah.
do edit the videos for YouTube and TikTok and everything. I think I'm gonna post a text above it. No, he's still there. He's just not moving, but he's still there.
Yeah, I'm still. And like I said, we came right back on. So, does anybody have any questions in the audience?
I don't see any questions yet.
Not yet. All right, because I can't.
Probably
Wait,
gonna come.
it's like you got a profile. It's like,
Yeah.
who wants a profile?
I I think of one question. I heard something about high EMF readings in your home. Is that accurate?
Yes, it's very accurate. That goes back to Dr. Barry Taff, the parapsychologist who's been working in the field now for over 50 years. He came out in 2005, and he brought over a digital geomagnetometer, which is a DC EMF meter, digital, and its range was from 2,000 milligauss negative to 2,000 milligauss positive. And he says if it goes beyond that, it will peak at 2,000, but it can't register beyond that because the meter didn't have the efficiency or ability to register above that. And when he came in the house, he was walking around the house with a probe and trying to figure out what was going on. He went to the front door. The polarity was at about 1,000 milligauss positive. He went to the front door and he says, right at the threshold between outside the house and inside, the digital geomagnetometer reversed polarity and started counting backwards to 1,000 milligauss negative.
Wow.
Wow.
He says, I've never seen that. And I said, what all does that mean, Barry? I'm just a lay person, let us just say, and I don't understand any of this. And
Yeah.
Barry said, well, normal readings are between 300 to 500 milligauss positive. I said, okay. And he goes, in some parts of your house, the meter is pinning and peaking at 2,000 milligauss positive, and in other parts, 2,000 milligauss negative.
Hmm.
And I said, okay, I hear numbers. I'm not exactly. He goes, I know you don't understand. He goes, some parts of the house, according to our meters, he goes, and unfortunately our meters are peaking and spiking to this level and probably exceeding those numbers, but we can't register them on this piece of equipment. He said that it's between 3 and 7 times your magnetic field, positive and reverse polarity, because it's impossible. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, DC, he said, is comprised of static electricity, lightning, naturally occurring electricity, and battery electricity, which is direct current. I said, what's AC? He goes, AC is what's transmitting through the house, and the conduit and the copper wires, that's alternating current, which is a different measurement scale. It's a different measuring device than what I'm using here. I said, so this is DC. He goes, natural electricity and static electricity. And he goes, that's what's running through this house. I said, you're kidding. He goes, no. And what's interesting is since then I've installed 25 or 30 cameras, closed-circuit television cameras throughout the house. When we were installing the cameras in the house, the technician brought out it's a wire, not sequencer, it's a wire isolator. And if you hold on one second, I'll show you what it looks like and explain to you what happened here. And what I did, what's going on here. Unfortunately, let me get the picture. Other people that do these books, let us just say, embellish themselves, put themselves up front center to the spirits. And I don't find that authentic. I find it a little disingenuous. When it's basically a device that you attach to when you're trying to isolate a wire. It's a wire isolation device. You attach one end to this, which is it's a tracer. That's what it is. It's a 77 HP tracer. What it's doing is if you have a cluster of wires and you're trying to find out which wire it is at the source, at the telephone junction here, where the telephone outlet is, because we were plugging in the cameras and utilizing the no longer used telephone wires. So each outlet's got its own set of wires going down to a big bundle of cables, because out of the house there must have been 30 outlets for the telephones. Excuse me. So he basically would attach this to the wire here at the box, and then it sends a signal down to the cables, to all the cables, so he could find out which cable it is. This is the other device, and this is the device we're going to show you what happened. So let me show you what it is. This sends down the signal, and you hear that? Here, I'll show you. This, you hear that. So you can barely hear it over here, but watch what happens as I get closer. It's figuring out, isolating which wires you've got of the 32 wires, bundles of wires at the base, at the junction box. He's able to find out which wire he's looking for. By accident, he did this. There. He pressed the button, and it was not connected, but you hear the sound.
Yeah.
The sound difference, how it's changing.
Yeah.
And he goes, this should be quiet. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I just by accident hit the button and I'm getting interference. And I'm like, what? He goes, this thing only has a range of maybe upwards of maybe about 1.5 feet to 2 feet. So he goes, when I'm here, it should be picking up nothing but what's in the air. I said, in the air? He goes, in the air. So he started walking around the house and he's going like this. And he's saying, there's energy in the air. I said, what do you mean? He goes, he walked outside, just outside on the balcony, and it's quiet. And he walks inside and it starts making sounds. He goes, it's inside the structure. I'm like, what? He goes, there's energy in this environment. Which led me to believe that the energy that we're hearing and experiencing, the EMF levels, is so pervasive, it's actually in the air. And the ceiling here is about 12 feet tall. And right now I'm sitting at, this is about 5 feet. So I'm nowhere near an electrical conduit or a light switch or a light that would be emitting that kind of energy that far from the walls or the ceiling. And he says, that's nuts. So I had to buy the piece when I walked around the house. And sure enough, we were getting different acoustic signatures of the energy. And it was like, I talked to electricians, goes, it shouldn't make a gosh darn sound at all.
No.
dead silent. So that goes to prove that there's energy. And this is not a paranormal piece of equipment.
No.
It's just it's basically an amplifier, and it just picks up the signal and it amplifies the tone. That's what's nuts about the EMF levels in the house. They're crazy.
It is nuts. Definitely is.
And it's a perfect environment, as it turns out, for spirits to manifest and to draw their energy off of.
Yeah,
And
it has to be.
And what Barry Taffet said was during the investigation at the original entity case in Culver City, that the meters would spike upon the manifestation of the spirit and then would go back to normal within a few minutes after the spirit manifested. He said, in this house, they're always elevated. At which point I said, so it's kind of like the reptile scenario. And he goes, what's that? I said, you take a cold-blooded animal like a reptile into a warm environment, it becomes active. When you put it into a cold environment, it becomes sluggish and dormant. And he goes, yeah. I said, same thing. When somebody comes in here or a spirit comes into the house, it can derive its energy off of the naturally occurring energy in the environment, just like the reptile does. When the sun strikes its back and warms it up, it becomes active. I said the same thing with a spirit, at which point Barry said, yeah, theoretically, that could be what's taking place there.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be. We have a question.
Yes.
David, do you also see static energy in the house?
The only time I've seen static electricity in the house is when we have huge amounts of the dry winds rushing through the canyons. And then the static electricity is so completely pervasive. Literally, you touch anything that's metal, you see that spark at the tip of your finger or your elbow or your body. That's the only time I've ever seen static electricity manifest.
Yeah, that hurts like hell.
Oh, yeah. It smarts.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It
Absolutely.
does.
And the same when I come in contact with the dog or the cats, they're like, ow, ooh, ow. It's like, I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to, hurt you. Or
Yeah,
spark.
I
So
had that
yeah.
with my daughter once on her nose. She gave me a kiss and her nose hit my nose. Well, there it's like hell.
Yep. It's the wetness and the fact
Yeah.
that you're positive and they've got the negative. So when you click, it's
Mm.
big.
Yep.
Yeah. What did you do that for?
Yeah, exactly. She was looking at me, blaming me for it. She was
Yeah,
like,
you think I did that on purpose? No, hardly. Crazy.
yep,
What?
yep. She was judging me for it. Definitely. Yeah.
Fights in the middle of the
Yeah.
night. And I was I was dreaming.
Yeah. Well, the worst part is she was 2. She still blames me for it.
Poor puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of sad. I think it's still funny, but I can laugh about it now.
Yeah,
Yes.
you didn't mean it on purpose. It wasn't something.
No,
So-
definitely. I don't like it when it happens. It hurts me
Oh
too.
yeah. Who knows? The dog's like, what was that all about? What did I
Yeah.
do?
Exactly.
So
Definitely.
I understand that.
Yeah.
She has another question. After the seeing the static, if you look on camera footage, can you see the energy manifesting on some spots?
Well, I can remember. I know that there were some people were here a few years ago. I think it was my friend Michael Strider. He was taking photographs going down, looking towards the stairwell in the second floor hallway. And I remember that he took a couple of some photographs, and the first photograph showed the stairwell as clear. And then the next 2 photographs, there was this like black shadow that was like partially on one side of the room of the hall of the stairwell, and then the next one it was like more even further, and it wasn't like an outline of a person. It was like a big, I don't want to say a mass, but it was like just this darkness that just manifested like a shadow that was just uncanny, for lack of better words. It was just like, and he says, Dave, look what I got. And I'm going, what the hell? He goes, and then the fourth picture was gone. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't like a person, and it wasn't like it was cast downwards. It was right in front.
Mm.
So you could, again, if you use an artist's perspective, you're always looking for where's the source of light. And when he
Yeah.
looked at the shadow, he goes, it's impossible because I wasn't using a flash. And it's in a pretty dark look. It looks like the hallway is pretty dark or dim. So the manifestation of the shadow and where it came from, it wasn't like it was cast like in this type of direction, like the light source was here. It was like it was right there. And there was no light source. It was just a darkness of the energy there.
Yeah, that is hard to explain.
Oh
Yeah.
God, here's one. Gotta say about 10, maybe 12, 13 years ago now. We had set up in the third level guest bedroom, and I just watched this video. And you got to remember, there are thousands of videos I have here. So, I mean, some people say, do you remember this video? It's like, if it's not on YouTube, I might not. And because there's a lot of videos that we've shot here over the course of 20 plus years now, where we decided to set up a camera system where we have two cameras in the room. And one's facing the bed, facing this direction. The other camera's on the exterior, on the wall, from the wall, facing into the entrance of the room. So you've got this type of an image. You've got a camera shooting this way, and you've got a camera shooting this way. In the footage, there's a shadow that crosses on the first camera, the camera facing the bed, you see the shadow walk by. Just like this, in maybe less than 2 seconds. From the camera from the wall facing the door, you also see at the same time this part of the shadow or part of the frame of the image gets obliterated by the same shadow at the same exact time. At which point somebody pointed out to me saying, it's not flat. I said, what do you mean? He goes, whatever that manifestation was three-dimensional. I said, how do you know that? He goes, because you caught it on both cameras that basically are crossing each other's eye lines.
Yep.
And he goes, on one camera, you can see part of the frame is obliterated, but the other side is fine. And on the other one, the whole entire frame, the object walks right by it. And no one was in the room. And it doesn't manifest as a person either. It's just this black shadow anomaly crossing itself. And it's like going, oh, shh. Just crazy. Yeah. And so, I mean, I hope that answers the questionnaires question, because it was.
I think it does.
Just saw it a couple of days ago. I was like, oh God, that happened. That's right. Because, like I said, it's been so many years and so many occurrences have taken place since that time.
Yeah.
It's like I don't keep a glossary, or not a glossary, an index in my mind, because some things, unless I've seen them, recently, it's like, oh God, yeah, wow, I forgot that happened. Yeah, I remember now. Because it's not that I'm not obsessed with it. I'm curious about it, but I'm not obsessed with it to the point where it's like, oh yeah, I'm a regular index for everything that's happened over the past. I can remember everything. It's like, no, you've got to be kidding me. I don't pay that much attention to it. The incident takes place. We review the footage. Okay, next. Because it's constantly providing more and more material on a regular basis, so that the old stuff kind of gets pushed into the back of my mind because it's older period of time than present.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. Well, you did get a confirmation that it did answer her question.
Oh, good.
She said thank you.
And again, you can look at the videos on my channel, on the YouTube channel. They're free. There's no Patreon stuff like that, but you can look at them from years ago, because a lot of the stuff that's happened years ago, people don't even bother looking because it's so old. It's like, yeah, but it's good, solid evidence to get yourself, to view, to understand that this isn't stuff that's happening on like just today. It's got a history and a lineage, at which point you can review stuff from years ago and go, holy crap. It's like,
yeah, exactly. Well, we're gonna share the channel on our Facebook page for people to look up.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
It is worth looking at.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Absolutely.
it's not hyperbolic, drama-filled nonsense like what you see on a lot of these channels. And oh my
No.
God, you
Yeah.
see it's like on. No, I didn't see it. I saw your reaction, and you know something. You're a paltry actor or actress, so I'm just dull and bored with it. It doesn't entertain me to watch you react like you're going on the Haunted Mansion ride at Disneyland for the first time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got better things to do. That's entertainment, but it's not the basis from which I'm going to put a great deal of belief in. I just
Nope.
don't.
Exactly.
I don't find it. I find it boring. That's why my videos are just here's the footage. See what you think. Let me know. I don't go. Oh, what do you think of that? Oh wow, we went here and this, and I was going. Oh God, you went here, you went there. I could give it.
Yeah.
Buy me a river, for God's sakes. Give me something more important than your reaction, which is oh, boring. It's like Zach Baggins. Shut up, Baggins. You're supposed to be professional, not a dweeb, not a twat. It fell over. It's like, yeah, it fell over 10 seconds ago, and you didn't see it. You didn't hear it. So how come you're having a shit moment in your pants? I swear to God. The man's a master of drama-filled nonsense. If I wanted to see that, I'd go watch a soap opera. At least there, you know what you're going into. With him, it's like, oh my God, did you see that? It's like, yeah, turn the camera that way so we can see what you saw. I'm not interested in the overreaction and your drama-filled nonsense. Because when he was here 12 years ago when they shot the show,
Yeah.
I told him, I said, the figurines get knocked over. I don't know when. He later on said, well, David knows when the figurines going to get knocked over. It's like, that's a lie. That's not even what I said. And when the figurines do get knocked over, I don't know which one's going to get knocked over either. So when they were here, literally, he was standing here with Nick during the show, and you can watch this on Ghost Adventures if you can find it, since he's kind of like blackballed me and tried to remove my video, my show, that episode from his I guess the lists. But 10 feet away from here are the figurines, and I can turn the camera and show you the figurines for yourself. So here, you see that those are the figurines on top of the aquarium right there.
Yep.
And literally and this is there you guys are. That's the screen I was talking about. And here I am right here. So we're a few feet away from it, and he's here with Nick. And Jay Wazzy goes, guys, did you hear that? Did you see that? One of the figurines got knocked over. And this is now when you take into account when the incident took place, and then Jay, walkie-talkie, talking to them, telling them, it's about 10 seconds after the incident. And Zach is like, he starts stuttering. And Nick says, Zach's having a little bit of a meltdown. And I'm like, for what reason is he having a meltdown? He didn't see it. He's 10 feet away from it. He didn't hear it. And yet he's being relayed the information by his, by the associate, oh, shit. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. God, I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. What happened there? What did you do? You sneaky.
Did you break
I'm
it?
sorry. I hit the camera.
Technical issues.
God. Dang. It's like I said, Jay Wasley, the audio text telling him this, I'm thinking, what's the trauma reaction from? Nick's sitting right next to him and saying, well, that just freaked him out. And I'm going, yeah, a little bit over the top. And then when they turn the lights on, he sees the different figurine had gotten knocked over than the one that had gotten knocked over earlier in the evening when I was describing what happens in the house.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, okay, the guy's a professional what, actor? I mean,
Yeah.
And let's be honest. Ask me how many times I've been in the freaking room when that's happened. Over 100 times it's happened, and that's just when I've been in the room when it's happened in front of me. And I'm like, great guys. I said, that's very nice. I said, really, you just keep on knocking them over. And it's like, to me, it's like, it's old hat. But still, I mean, I've seen it happen with the lights on during the day. That was weird sound. And it doesn't freak me out. And again, I'm sometimes in my office like I was last night, and I heard this bang. And I said, okay, so you knocked so I turn on the camera, and sure enough, one of the figurines got knocked over, and I can hear it a floor below us, and literally, let's see, probably about 25 feet, and then into my office, like 35 feet away on the second floor below it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like, I mean, to me, it's like, all right, so that happened. It's their way of communicating. I don't take it like you're trying to hurt me. Because some people say, he's trying to hurt me. I said, what, by knocking the figurine over?
Yeah.
What do you make the sleep of fear from? They're knocking the figurine over. Now it's a threat to my life and well-being.
Yep. They tend to do that a lot.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so
Notice
I've gotten tired of posting videos of the figurines getting knocked over unless it's something that's like, okay, example. I have a video on YouTube of the figurines getting knocked over. Two of them, it's 12 hours apart. The thing that kicks you in the head is one of the figurines is sitting like this on the thing, kind of like this. It's the Smoking Man figurine, so his head is like this, and it is an angle. 4 hours later, all of a sudden, you see the head of the figurine get pushed down, and his legs raise up like a teeter-totter. And I was like, that, and I reviewed the footage. I said, I could have sworn a few hours ago he was sitting like this. Now he's like this. So I watched the footage, and I watched it actually where it was like this for several hours, and then some force decides to push down on the head and push the head down and the legs up. And I'm like, holy crap, that's a new one. Because it's not just the fact that they knocked the figurine over, that's happened. It's the fact that later on, the figurine's sitting there motionless, some spirit decides to push down on the head and raise the feet up. That was significant. And I've got a video, it's up on the channel. It's like, what the hell is that about? Curiosity overrides my sense of fear in all the incidents that have taken place here. Why? Because if I were to focus on the drama and, oh my God, it's fear, I couldn't stay here for a night. Because your own mind will mess you up more than the reality of the situation and the circumstances that you've been involved in. Because the incident takes this long, it's about this big of a span of time, where if you allow that little incident to blow up in your mind, it can consume you and cause you to become so fraught of fear that anything that happens, you can be like, oh my God, what's going on? Oh my God, it's out to get me. It puts you in a state of paranoia that you cannot battle yourself.
Yeah, it definitely does.
And that's why I don't get so, bent out of shape, so to speak, by the activity that happens here, because it's not that scary. It's not that bad. If you disempower it and say, okay, spirits, you're up to your old tricks. What's going on? It doesn't allow you to get affected by it as much.
No.
Yeah.
And it happened. It's like, okay, that happened. Next, I got other things to worry about. Life doesn't stop because that incident took place, and I'm still hard. Oh my God. How can you survive life if that's the way you're going to go through the experience of life?
Yes.
Good question.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You wrote books as well.
No. One book.
Oh, one book.
One book where don't stop. There it is. Yes. I'm like, I just had it here. I just read from it. I could have sworn I just read from it. Son of a. And I'll go blame the ghost, and the ghost is going, you lazy son of a bitch. You're blaming us for where you put the book. You have a memory. You put it down on the table right to your left. It's right there. It's staring you in the eye because we didn't hide it. We didn't do that. We do other stupid things. Yes. I wrote this book, Ghosts of Cielo Drive, which is the story. It's the unabashed story of the area, the history of the area, the mentions briefly the Sharon Tate murders, because since I'm not an expert in the field of I'm no expert in anything. Since I'm not a devotee to the Sharon Tate murders, like some of my friends, Scott Michaels from Dearly Departed Tours, who knows more of the details and the circumstances. I know enough about the story without going into the conspiratorial side of things, because every time I hear these new books, a new theory about what the real truth behind the Sharon Tate murders, I start to gag, because nobody seems to realize that the book that is to me, the quintessential diary of the murders is Helter Skelter, written by Vincent Pugliosi, which everybody nowadays, 55 years after the murders, has claimed, oh, he did it to make money. He omitted information and this and that. And going, look, the fact of the matter is that was written based upon trial transcripts, majority of which were in court, and a lot of the history of it was there, laid out bare. The people that were involved in the gosh darn crimes openly admitted their complicity to the murders. And unfortunately, people don't like the facts, because they're always looking for, there's got to be more to, there's got to be, and then they're looking for these wild red herrings that lead them to, no, it was the CIA, it was this, and it's like, Sharon Tate's still alive. And I go, I understand that you can't sell the truth because it's the truth and it's 55 years old now. And old truths don't sell well. So what you have to do is you have to repackage the story and entertain these mysterious cause and effect situations to sell your product, because no one cares less about what happened, because they could read the original story and be accepting of it. No. The new people, there's new revelations. No, there's not. The new revelations that these people, the murderers that were in jail, changed their stories after 20, 30, 40, 50 years in jail, makes sense from one perspective only. You can't sell yesterday's news to the present day audience. Meaning Susan Atkins couldn't keep telling her story. And look, after that many years in jail, she realized she had no way out. She wasn't making money on any interviews. No one was interviewing her about what she's already said, because she's already said it. You can't repackage old news and resell it as new if it's the same tried and true story. So realizing that her devotion to Manson had waned after that many years of incarceration, and her devotion to him, she said, I've got to survive, and he isn't helping me, and I need to survive. So how do I get new interviews? By creating new storylines to the murders.
Yeah.
And what's terrible about it is that, excuse me.
Bless you.
There is interview footage from back in 1970, 71, of Susan Atkins and the other family members. And it was fresh in their minds. They were unabashed. They were proud of what they were saying and what they were doing. So they told their story. That's why I kind of say, look, if the story starts to deviate from the original storyline in successive years, 10, 15, 20, figure it's because they needed a way to repackage their story to get more money out of people to listen to them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it any more factually based, because the facts were spouted and touted back in 1970 when they were in jail, and they were pretty gosh darn open and honest about what they felt and thought and were thinking then.
Yeah.
So that's where you got to say, that's where the kernel of truth is, not in what was said 30, 40 years later, because no one was listening and caring to pay them a dime for their interviews because they had nothing new to say.
No, exactly.
And that's the problem. And there's a great documentary, I guess, a reporter's interview video film that he shot with the Manson family that was not in jail in 1970. And he basically interviews Lynette Squeaky Fromm and a lot of the other people there at the Manson family residence at Spawn Ranch before it was destroyed. And they're pretty gosh darn open, honest, and clear in their words. and they're very proud of what they felt and what they believed in. And it's scary to listen to them because these aren't Hollywood actors. And some of these people have said, oh, they were coached. It's like, you could not get these people at that time to do anything but what they were spouting off because they wanted to. You couldn't give them a script and say, here's a script, read this. They were far, far removed from people that you could manipulate.
Yeah.
And coerce into saying what you wanted them to say. They had a pulpit and wanted to speak their truths to a public to document what they felt. And
Exactly.
it's pretty much concurrent with what the perspective, let's just say the motivation that was drawn from the conclusion in Helter Skelter. It runs right in tow and in line with what was being said in court, what's in the book. And it doesn't deviate from it because I said when it's fresh, it's best.
Yeah.
When people are then to tell you the story 20, 30 years later, somehow, some way in everybody's story, things change just enough of a little bit to make them, to keep your audience interested.
Yep.
And that's the difference, that the stuff that, oh, they said this. I said, what year was that? It was 1993 or 2003 or 2004 before. It's like, I don't care. I don't care what they're saying 40, 50 years later. It doesn't matter to me. The fact of the matter is what they said at the time is what you should listen to, not what they're saying now after years and years of incarceration and basically realizing there's no way out. I still need money from this. How can I?
Yeah, true.
Absolutely. Do we have
Oh, we were talking about your book.
Oh, yeah. So the book, like I said, goes through the Tate murders, and then it goes into my buying the property and the experiences that happen, and it's almost in a diary type of fashion. For instance, it'll say a date, a day, and a year, and it'll say what happened on the incident that took place on that date and time. It's very, very devoid of hyperbolic type of descriptions of stuff. I say this is what it was. I don't say it's a demon. I say this is what the incident took place. This is what the person said. This is verbatim what the person said. The quotes are drawn out of video because a lot of what is in here is based on videos that were shot that have never been released to the public on YouTube. And the investigations and such, since you can't show a video in a book, I basically transcribed what the situation was, who was there, what was being said, what they were picking up in almost a dry fashion. Meaning I don't like to add superlatives and add more drama than was actually there present at the moment, because it's not fiction. And because nonfiction is much more, how should we say, clear and concise.
Yeah.
I like to keep it like that because that's the way I communicate to the audience. I tell the story in these terms, and it's just very, very, as a matter of fact, as possible. And people have said to me, when I've read your book, I can almost hear you speaking because it's in the same type of, not motif, but in the same type of way that I communicate verbally is the way that I wrote the book. So it's not like they're long chapters into this. And it's like, no, the chapters are as long as the incident or incidents took place, and in very detailed fashion without making the audience go, oh my God. I mean, I've had people say it's riveting because it's so clear and so true and honest. And that's what I really intended to do. So it starts in 1998 upon the discovery of the property from my father, finding the property, all the way to 2000. I think it ends in 2012, right after the Zach Baggins Ghost Adventures episode shot here. And the reason why I did that is because I didn't want to write a gosh darn novel the size of War and Peace. And I wanted to keep it short, and I think it's 250 pages long. Let me see. Yeah, 250 pages long. And I wanted to keep it interesting and not something that somebody's going to say, oh my God, I'm intimidated. I have to read this whole freaking book. I said, no, I don't want to, I don't want somebody to be, I don't want to be in somebody's shoes and go, God, it's 500 pages long. I'm scared. I don't want to start this because I don't want to. So I made it in a palatable fashion that is as small as possible, but it's got the details of the information. And I can always continue with writing volume 2 because God knows I've got plenty of experiences over the past 13 years that have occurred here that I can document and add another volume to the same amount of pages without boring people and making people intrigued by and interested in the story so that it's, compelling enough for them to want to read it further
Yeah, exactly.
without getting them going, oh God, oh my God, I read 500 pages of that. I'm so impressed. I'll never do that again. Because I don't think people in this day and age have the attention span to devote to
No.
that much in one book. And the first thing they do is, as I used to do, is like, well, how many pages? I can handle that. I can handle 250 pages or, under 300 pages. But when you're going page 500, so that's intimidating. And the first thing you do is you recoil and go, no, I know I'm never going to finish that book. I can't start that book. It's impossible. You can't do this to me. So
Yeah, me too.
but the reviews, I'll be honest with you, I have yet to get a single negative review from anybody that's gotten the book.
That's good.
And to me, that really made me feel like, something. I'm a first-time writer, and something. I appreciate the fact that I felt and put in words what was accurate and true, and it resonated with the audience that they would appreciate. Say, I like that book. It's not like we won't say Mr. Baggins, and I've got a book of his because he wrote 3.5 pages, a half a chapter dedicated to me. And I started looking through the book, and it's like every freaking picture is of Zach. There's a picture of Zach in this outfit. There's a picture of Zach in that outfit. And in my case, for example, I put in pictures of the construction, and so that people could see that. I have a few celebrities that had visited here that were like, what's his Kane Hodder of not Twilight, you assholes. Jason Hodder played Jason. Jason. Is it Jason Hodder? Yeah, Jason Hodder played Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a picture of the third level theater room with the I guess that's one of the vertical blinds that was hanging over it. At that time, it started flapping back and forth on its own in front of a paranormal investigator, Rick McCallum, and he was like, I just powered my camera off. If I have to power the camera back on, and as it's powering on, the vertical blind came to a complete stop as it came back to
It would be his blog.
To me, that was one of the finest examples of the story. The spirits going, you. To me, that's humor. I think the spirits are more humorous than they are dangerous. And that's what I really find really interesting is that people, here's a good picture. This is a photograph that was shot 20 years ago on the 35th anniversary of the murders. And that object, and I can show your audience what it looks like in color, but that's in the book. I show you a picture. You're writing a book about the paranormal.
Yeah.
I want to see some photographs of the evidence in the freaking book. I don't want to see for lack of better words, a picture book of a paranormal celebrity showing himself off in all of his different outfits and poses. And yet I'm reading a book on I Am Haunted. Where the hell are the goddamn ghosts? You know how many pictures of any ghosts? This is the actual photograph shot.
Wow.
Actually, that doorway that you see there in the background, that's where I'm sitting right now. But this is the manifestation that was captured on 35 millimeter high-speed film on the 35th anniversary of the murders 20 years ago. This is another photograph, and people said, oh, that's the camera strap. The camera strap is black and is solid. As you can see in this image, this is blue in different shades of blue and is semi-translucent towards the top and towards the bottom, where you can see the railings of the wrought iron, gate work there. And what's interesting is both images side by side are very similar, but again, they're not identical. And what's really curious is on this top one, you notice this here, this, no, this, it changes colors, and it's semi-translucent in certain areas, and then it changes colors towards the top. And it is not the black camera strap. So we've included these photographs in the book because I wanted people, the readers, to be able to see images of some of what we've captured. Yes, they're black and white photographs, but you have a better understanding of what it is we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, you can always go to the omanhouse.com and see the photographs in full color online.
Which I'm gonna do after this.
Yeah. To me, these are the things that, again, this isn't digital. This was when you could actually have 35 millimeter film and use that. Yeah. And we had a crappy piece of junk camera that I bought that I said, I want a piece of junk camera that can only do one thing. That's focus and take a photograph, and then has to be manually advanced to take another photograph, meaning one photograph per frame. You do not have the ability to do multiple exposures on the same piece of film, so you can get double exposure. That's why I bought the crappy camera that I bought when we shot these photographs. And also why I got an 800 speed film, because I figured, I had been told that with higher speed film, there's a greater chance of capturing something visual on the film, because its higher rated speed settings will allow that to capture whatever is in front of the lens at that moment.
Yeah.
And mind you, these two images, there's a third image I have that was shot on that night, were out of 5 36 exposure rolls, meaning there was 150, 210 photographs. And of the 210 photographs of the 5 rolls, there were only 3 images that were obnoxious or crazy. Everything else, the photographs were perfectly fine with no aberrations. So that's also what's interesting. Plus, we also have the negatives, and these images are on the negatives.
Yeah, it says enough.
So, I mean, that's the lengths that I went to 21 years ago in 2004 to do the investigation then, because I didn't want anybody to say, oh, this isn't real. This is a digital. This is a double exposure. I said, go look at the negatives. Go look at the negatives and see what you see. We've had other analysis done on the negatives, and they said, no, this is what is actually on the negative. This wasn't done in post in the photo lab processing of the film. That's just what you actually captured. And again, the photograph before and the photograph afterwards of these images show no disparity, no issues, no malfeasance or malfunctions of the film. And here's the other thing. I'm not like, spirits, I see you, smile, click. I'm more like, click, turn around here, click, turn around here, click. I'm randomly shooting the pictures. So there's no rhyme or reason to why it is 3 of a 220 photographs, why 3 would have these anomalies in them.
No, exactly. There's no reason for it.
Because I'm a skeptic at heart, so I don't like to fool myself, let alone to have others believe something that is not accurate and true. So I am one of those people that says, no, damn the gosh darn evidence. Let's make sure that we're doing it on the up and up. So if I do capture something, no one can argue with what I've captured.
Exactly.
And that's a form of a point of integrity. It's not like I'm hell bent. I want to find it. Where I'm going to allow my desire to have some evidence provided me. I'm going to go to lengths to make and discount my methodology. Because if I can't believe it myself, how do I expect others to believe it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of videos on my computer, on YouTube, why all the videos on my YouTube channel have been scrupulously reviewed from other cameras in the other parts of the house to make sure that something wasn't occurring on the top floor that was then somehow resonating and echoing on the 3rd floor. And I've had that experience happen where I had some friends over. They were downstairs on the 3rd floor. I was upstairs with one of their friends who didn't want to go downstairs. And we were talking over here at the bar, and I took a glass and I hit the glass on the counter. At the same time downstairs, you hear, David, we heard a bang, we heard a loud sound, blah, blah, blah. 40 feet below, on the floor, 2 floors below us. And I reviewed the footage and I said, well, it came up here. And it's like, wait a second. And I then went to figure it out. And I said, let me, you guys stay down there. I said, if I hit this spot just right, I said, do you hear? He goes, yeah, I hear the sound. I hear the same sound. I said, all right, I know what it is. It was when I put my hand and my glass down on the counter. Turns out it was at the perfect spot. Meaning let's see, oh shoot, what's this? Let me see. I don't know. That's okay. I'll let that go. Let me turn this off. I hear it ringing in the background, that's for sure. So, as I was saying, I said, I looked and I said, oh my God, I can't believe it. I said, I hit the right spot. He goes, there's a support beam that goes all the way down from the top all the way down, all the way, that connects. It's not the same piece of wood, but it's one piece of wood that connects them, that stops here. Then there's another piece of wood that goes down to the second floor, and it goes all the way down to the third floor into the closet. So it's just when you hit that spot, it hits and it resonates all the way down there. And so I said, that's it. It's not paranormal. And if it's not paranormal, it ain't going on the channel. So I said, it's been refuted. So I look for possible plausible explanations to figure out what it is that is going on. So if I can't, if I can't debunk it myself, then I figured that if I've gone to those lengths to kind of to find out that it's not real, I won't post it. But if I can't, and it's like, okay, that passes the muster, that's real, that's crazy, it's not XYZ, it's not the dogs, it's not the cats, it's not an outside source making the sound, then I'm like, okay, it goes to YouTube. Yeah. Otherwise, why bother? Because again, having your credibility means that you examine every piece of evidence that you provide the audience with and the public with to make sure that you have verified that there's no other explanation for it. Because once you lose credibility in the eyes of the audience and the eyes of the public, you can't be trusted. You can't
turn it around.
Right. And so to me, it's a matter of making sure that, no, this is real. I can't explain it. There's no explanation for it. And I'll be damned if somebody wants to challenge me because I've gone through it with a fine-tooth comb to debunk it myself before I put it out there for the public to consume.
Yeah.
No, exactly. All right. I think we are through all the questions we had. We had some public questions. What?
Any from the audience?
No, not now. They are agreeing on a lot of things with you.
Well, I appreciate that.
And like I said, I'm going to post the channel. Hell no.
And they're saying, we wouldn't live there though, no matter how much money you paid us. You enjoy that life of yours. It's like, yeah, I've heard that one before. Because people get a little bit freaked out by the unknown. And I'm like, life is unknown. You don't know what's going to happen next. So the fact that I'm dealing with some spirits, I find it kind of, I find it curious, to say the least. I don't find it threatening in any way, like in the movies, because we don't live in a movie life. We live in reality, the real world. Spirits aren't trying to say, come join us, come join the dead crew and join us. And they're like, oh, no, what are you, crazy? We know your ass has got an expiration tattooed on it, and you have no idea when that is. So we'll let you play your cards out and let you have your life, because eventually you're going to be where we are no matter what, because no one lives forever.
Yeah,
exactly.
And as Jim Morrison said, no one here gets out alive.
No.
Nope.
Nope, definitely not.
May you rest in peace, Jim. You're still appreciated here.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw one question drop in, but in the beginning, you talked about it.
No, what is it? Ask me, please. I'd love to, don't want them to feel like I
you
didn't answer.
captured any EVPs, but you had recordings of a Mexican.
Yeah, the Hispanic
Yeah.
man who spoke. Yes, and beyond that, there's a video on my channel from I want to say like 6, 7 months ago, where in this room, I was outside on the balcony over to my left, talking, being interviewed, and inside the room, we heard voices talking. And I said to the interviewer, I said, Tyler, I said, did you? He goes, I heard that. He goes, what was it? He goes, I don't know what it was, but I can tell you it wasn't a person because there's no one in the house. There's no television on. There's no radio on. And we both heard it. So when we reviewed it on the cameras, you hear first a man's, I think it was a woman's voice. Yeah, it's a woman's voice first. And then a man's voice that said, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. 3 times he said, oh, yeah. And I'm like, going, and he was like, Tyler Wells. And like I said, it's from 2024. And you watch the video and you'll go, and these, funny enough, I figured that what we've recorded here are not EVPs, because EVP stands electronic voice phenomena. Electronic voice phenomena is usually referring to spirit box, an echo box, the Frank's box, the whatever it is, the ghost talking devices, which are basically picking up voices, and then electronically the voice phenomena is being translated through that device. What we've got here is one grade and one step well above that, meaning we have disembodied voices not being processed through an electronic modulation system at all. These are the disembodied voices themselves, meaning it's not an intermittent radio transmission that your spirit box is picking out that word and then spewing out that bit of information to you. And it's a radio announcer or a bit of a commercial that you're hearing that voice. What we're hearing here are the modulations of a spirit manifesting and communicating and vocalizing,
Yeah.
which means that we're hearing their voice as they wish us to hear it, not a transmission from a cell phone or an AM radio station commercial or whatever, or a song. We're hearing their actual spirit voices here.
That's cool.
Nuts. And there's plenty on my channel, plenty of examples on there. Just go look through it. Most of them say disembodied voices. Some of them say EVP, because before I realized that electronic voice phenomena is through an echo box or a spirit box or one of those devices, that we've got these voices that are recorded, and they're saying stuff like, oh yeah, like effing pricks is one of them. There's a video of me in my office and I'm reviewing some video footage and I'm like, does that mean I have to do this again? And you hear the voice say, effing pricks. They're not saying effing, they're saying, Fucking pricks. And I'm like, and I stopped and I said, well, I heard what you said. And you said pricks in plural, and I'm here alone. So who are you referring to? Because you could have said effing prick, and I would have said, that's me, I guess you're talking about. But the fact that they went out of their way to say pricks in the plural, I said, who are you talking about? Because you weren't talking about me.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, people go, oh my God. I said, what do I care? They're here. I don't feel like they're a threat. So if they're communicating, I'm always like, you got anything else to say? And people go, oh, you're so funny. It's like, no, I'm curious. I allow the curiosity to take over and say, let me hear it. Come on. I'm here. You got my attention. Talk to me. Come on. What?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And people are like, do. I go, yeah. You're going to start a conversation. Come on, finish it. I want to know what this is about. And they go, you're serious? It's like, damn right I'm serious. I want to know. I'm more curious than anything, because if you're going to make a statement, make it clear enough so that I can comprehend it and understand it and make sense of it.
Yeah.
Just, we threw you this bone and we're going to let you deal with it and chew on it till you're all stupid in the head. I'm like, no, don't treat me like a dog. Give me the gosh darn story and let me hear it so I understand what I can do. Because I'm always allowing myself to say, all right, talk to me. What's up? Okay, fine, don't talk to me. Be that way. And I get upset. And people go, you get upset? I say, yeah, I get a little irritated. It's like you started me going and then you just stopped. Don't do that to me. Don't set it up and not finish the story.
Exactly. Yeah. Agreed.
I I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
What did you want me to say? The spirit say, they want me to say something. I said, say what? What do you want? Do you want me to close? Do you want me to wrap it up? I'll wrap it up if you want me to. Is that what you're telling me to do? Then just say, David, your turn to wrap it up. I would have said, oh, fine, wrap it up. Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure being on the show
Wow.
today. Um,
Well, I feel a sequel coming on. We do a monthly panel, so we drop you in a group of five, so you can talk.
I think I
They
proved
will
that today. I'm capable of more than capable of
oh
talking.
yes, you are.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
you are.
absolutely, absolutely,
At least I'm
absolutely.
not dull and boring and repeating the same stuff I've said over and over. It's
No,
like, gee, I heard that on the other show. I don't need to hear this. I've heard this before. Case closed.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, I
yeah,
try to keep it
but
real and fresh and authentic and within the bounds of the truth.
yeah, but here in Europe, not many people know from your house and hauntings, just the things they saw on Ghost Adventures and the other show, and
Ghost
that's it.
Hunter, really.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
Oh God, I help them to see better better material and reference of me in television. God.
Yes.
Hopefully
Yes.
that will be changing. Hopefully that will change soon and soon enough because I'm working with somebody
yes,
and we're trying to make something happen with this with my book and turning it into a docu series because I think that people would appreciate my unique perspective of living with the spirits and trying to as you say, enlighten the audience of the realities of the paranormal. That 90% of what we see is through the lens of our experiences, be
Yeah.
that
yes,
painted from books or from films or from television shows. I think that a lot of people's experiences in relating to the paranormal is diminished and I don't want to say inaccurate, but is in some ways misinformed and has misguided people to have greater expectations and greater fears of the
yes,
paranormal than anything else, which I kind of
Yeah.
go, yeah, I used to be in that ship. I was on that life raft at one point, and I decided to jump overboard and get off the life raft and start to swim alone in the treacherous, quote unquote, treacherous currents of living in a haunted environment to find out that nothing could be further than the truth than what we've been taught and we've been informed from television shows that are
yeah,
supposedly by experts in the field. And I go, I've lived here for 22 plus years and I'm not an expert in the field, but I know a lot of what I was taught was bullock and bull and just nonsense. And it's just drama filled crap, to be honest with you. And it's not as bad as a lot of people, make it out to seem. And some people use the lens of religiosity to cast these spirits into the abyss and
Yeah.
just put them out to me. They're demons. And there's no such thing as a spirit coming back to visit. They're all demons. I'm saying impersonating. What are you cockeyed? There's no impersonation. There's nothing but the truth on the other side. There's no ego play at work where people are trying to one up someone's like, there's not one spirit trying to outdo another spirit, say, well, look, I'm the scariest spirit on the block. No, that does not exist except in television shows and crappy paranormal movies. Let's be honest. I just,
Yep.
uh, that's why I want to be a light of truth and a beacon of truth in the darkness of the absurdity of what we've been taught about the paranormal. And when I say
yeah,
paranormal, I mean ghosts. I'm not talking about UFOs, since that's now been glommed together into the paranormals. It's like
yes,
UFOs are UFOs. Aliens are aliens. They're not paranormal. Paranormal is the realm of ghosts, not wishes, witches. And even them, that's more fairy tale when I see it's fairy, but it's true. It's nonsense. Wiccans are not. Here's a ghosts are the paranormal. Wiccans and cryptozoology, by the grace of the television networks, we've all been duped into believing that That's all lumped together in this big pile called the paranormal. The hell, not when I was a kid. Paranormal
Mm-mm.
was ghosts, cryptids, and cryptozoology was its own
Yeah.
genre, and
Yeah.
aliens were a far removed genre.
Yes.
And witches and werewolves, which are another mythological thing, are another thing, but they're not part of the paranormal that I was
Nope.
raised and brought up on it. And only because of television and usually Discovery networks have we been duped into believing that this is all part of the paranormal. It's like hell it is. It's abnormal, but it ain't paranormal. Let's be honest. Paranormal meant parapsychology, which is a derivative and meant researching ghosts is parapsychology. So
Yep.
that now we've been led down this path of, oh, it's all part of the same. No, it's not. There's no connection. Just because a television network wanted to make it out like that doesn't mean that the truth is that is accurate. It's not.
Exactly.
So,
Cindy says, David, I like your point of view and that you are down to earth and skeptic.
yeah, thank you, Cindy. I mean, yeah, I hated people that, oh, it's a ghost. I'm going, and I said, oh no, it's the hell not. It's the guy up the top on the top floor doing stuff in haunted locations when I was a kid. It was like, well, I want to know the truth. I don't want to hear the story and buy into the donut and realize that it's filled with crap, or it's an eclair that's got garbage in it, and I'm eating it and believing it. I hate that. If you can't be honest about the paranormal and look through it through multiple lenses to try to discern fact from fantasy and fiction and reality, you're no good because you're already halfway there and you won't believe in anybody's challenging of it. That's why you have to
Exactly.
always double, triple investigate that which you concern you call paranormal or ghostly related. It just can't. You can't. I'm taking it with a bit. I'm just taking it whole. They're just spoon feeding me this. Why? Stop accepting it as reality, especially now with AI. AI is the biggest deceiver of all time.
Yep.
And that's the problem. You have to be extra careful because nowadays people are more interested in trying to make a buck and freak you out than tell you the truth and be honest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Completely agree.
And with
And
that, I think I've said enough for today's show.
yes.
I just wanted to say, with that, I'm going to wrap it up because we're at 2 hours now.
I told you we're going to be to an hour and a half. Can you just standing on my head, or do you want me to do a dance and a jig on top of a pinhead? I'll be happy to oblige. Yes, I can do an hour and a half, as you found out.
Yes. I
You can
want
do.
him. I
I,
want him.
hey, I'm on this. I'm like, you want to go 5 hours? I've done it before. It's not a big stretch, though. An hour and a half,
Yeah.
do that. Yes.
We- this one we wrap up, and if you go to the back, and we will join you in a minute, and we reschedule on that panel, and five five men and women will drop any questions on you, but later on, later on, yes,
People are dropping in the house here. Go over
Yeah, they
there.
will.
yes,
When I'm done, I'll talk to you. Not now. Not now. Just stop the dropping in. You ask for five
that
men and
would
women.
be
They're like, okay,
great.
we're going to paratroop into the house ghost style.
Yeah. We bring our own translator because we have an Irish, a Scottish,
I
one
love
from
you. A
London.
ghost man, are you
Yeah,
now? Let's have a few shillelaghs or crack of your head and see if there's any lumps in now. Yeah, indeed.
yes,
Lumps
she's
there. Yeah.
going to love it. She's
I,
going to love it. So we're doing that, and we talk to you in a minute. Thank you
okay.
for
Thank you
doing
for
this.
having fun.
Thank you
Yes,
for joining.
yeah, I had a blast again.
We'll see you in a minute.
Okay. I won't go anywhere.
Good.
Okay,
See you.
thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Yes, I told you. I told you.
Yeah,
If
you warned
he's,
me. You warned me before.
yeah, if he's starting to talk, he's starting to talk. It's
It's
the
fine.
same with, yeah, I love it. It's about him and um, getting us back on our feet, being skeptic, looking
Yep.
to the paranormal and hauntings in a different way. And you may jump, but don't make yourself mad. So I was so happy he wanted to join us, and now I'm booked him for for our panel.
It was did good. Now it
Yeah,
was a great, well, debate. It's not even an interview because we didn't ask that much questions. We didn't have to.
no, no, because he can tell so much.
Hmm.
So shortly, if you want to see the episode of Ghost Adventures, it's on Rotten Tomatoes. You can find it also on YouTube, Amazon, and IMDb. That's the places where you can watch. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's on HBO because all of the episodes are on there.
They are, because
Yeah,
mostly it's a couple of seasons and then
you might
randomly.
might find it maybe on YouTube. Um, you get an impression of the house. Don't believe everything you see, but you
No,
can watch it. And otherwise, go to YouTube. I don't know if he's still on Instagram. He used to be, but just find him everywhere. David Oman.
yeah, we're also going to share it on the page, on the live page. So eventually you will find it. And with that said, we are going to say our goodbyes,
Yes,
and we will see you when is it next week?
next week with a Dutch version, we are
Oh yeah,
going to talk um, to Frans Schmidt, and we will talk about EVPs, disembodied voices, the ways you capture voices, the white noise, everything concerning spirit voices.
yes. So is it going to be here or on TikTok?
It's going to be here again because
All right.
France doesn't have TikTok, and we might use TikTok for sharing our interviews and on YouTube because the American friends they might lose TikTok. So
Yeah, we have to check that out. Keep an eye on that.
yeah,
Anywho, like we said, we're going to say our goodbyes, good nights, and we will see you on the next one.
yes, bye bye,
Thank you
zwaai
for
zwaai.
watching. Bye bye, swai swai. Later.
Later.
Thanks for watching. We hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe.